Have you ever been there? Someone asks how you're doing, and you just say, I'm fine, but inside you're kind of falling apart, just wishing they'd see past the words. Well, we're going to dive into the psychology behind why so many of us hide what we truly need from the people around us.
I mean, really think about it for a second. Are you the rock? The person everyone comes to for advice? The one who's always listening, always helping them solve their problems? But then, when it's your turn, when you're the one who could use a little support, crickets. You just don't say a word.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Why? Why do we do this to ourselves? It's such a common pattern. And figuring out the why is really the first step to ever being able to change it.
And here's what's so wild about it. On the outside, it looks like you're just incredibly strong, independent, tough. But what psychology tells us is that this is almost never about just being tough. It's actually a really sophisticated survival mechanism that you learned over a long, long time.
To really get where this comes from, we have to go back, way back. We have to look at our childhood blueprint, the place where these patterns were first sketched out.
For so many people who are experts at hiding their needs, this whole thing started when they were just kids. If you grew up in a home that was stressful, or maybe just emotionally quiet, you got smart. You learned really fast how to adapt by not adding any more fuel to the fire.
And that's how you become the easy child, right? You become super cooperative, you never make a fuss, and you learn to just swallow your own feelings, telling yourself it's not a big deal, or, hey, other people have it worse.
Now, there's a term for this in psychology. It's called Conditional Positive Regard. It sounds fancy, but all it really means is that you learned that love and approval only came your way when you were being good, when you were being helpful, quiet, or just really, really low maintenance. Affection wasn't free. It felt like something you had to earn.
And that childhood lesson hardwires a really painful belief deep inside your brain. I am lovable only when I am giving something, not when I need something.
Okay, so you've got this pattern from childhood. How does it grow into a full-blown adult defense system? Well, those early days forged this incredibly powerful shield of self-reliance.
The math on this is actually pretty simple. When your emotional needs are ignored over and over and over again as a kid, you eventually just stop showing them. Why would you? To protect yourself from that hurt, you develop what we call hyper-independence.
And this hyper-independence creates this amazing illusion. On the surface, everyone sees strength, independence, toughness. But what's it hiding underneath that shield? A terrified fear of being disappointed again, a sense of learned helplessness, and, well, a desperate need to protect yourself from ever feeling that pain again.
And that brings us to the absolute core of it, the main emotion that powers this entire cycle, this deep, overwhelming fear of being a burden.
You know when you find yourself people-pleasing, saying yes when every fiber of your being is screaming no? It's not just about being nice. Attachment psychology shows us that it's often wired directly to one of our most primal fears, the fear of being abandoned. So the logic in your head starts to make a twisted kind of sense, right? If I make my needs as small as possible, if I'm the most low-maintenance person in the room, then I lower the risk of someone deciding I'm too much and leaving. Keeping the peace feels so much safer than being honest. But this lifetime of staying silent, of being easy, it comes with a really heavy price. A price that most people, including you, might not even see until it's too late. There's a real tragedy at the end of this road.
After years, maybe even decades, of pushing your own needs to the side and making sure everyone else is okay, the final result is something profoundly isolating.
You perfect it. You become a world-class black belt master at being fine no matter what chaos is brewing inside. It's a skill you've been practicing your whole life.
And here it is. Here is the devastating cost of that expertise. You get so good at being fine that the people who love you most, the people who genuinely care, they just don't think to check deeper. They believe you. Why wouldn't they? You're that convincing.
And that is the absolute heartbreak of this whole thing. You can be in a room full of people who truly, genuinely love and value you, and still feel completely, utterly invisible. Because the real you, the you that struggles and has needs, is still in hiding.
Okay, but before we wrap this up, I want to offer one last crucial way to think about all of this, a total reframe. Because this behavior is not what it seems.
Listen to me. If any of this felt painfully familiar to you, I need you to hear this loud and clear. This is not a flaw.
This is not a sign that you're broken or that there's something wrong with your character.
What this actually is a testament to your resilience. It's a strength, a really sophisticated one that you were forced to build in silence just to get through the world you were in. So please, understand this. Every time you hid your needs, you weren't being weak. You were doing exactly what you had to do to survive. It was your brain's brilliant, powerful way of protecting you. You built that incredible strength to protect yourself. So maybe, just maybe, the question now is, after all this time protecting yourself by staying hidden, isn't it finally time to let yourself be seen?